Every morning seems just the same old routine. Blowing trees, writing these bars, line after line, mining for a diamond, but a dime is what I find. Hiding from the truth, by simply coasting through these hard times with green, even though I'm feeling blue. But I gotta face the facts, girl, you know that it's true. And maybe what I'm supposed to do is not to get so close to you. But these days the only things that seem great are fading away. And the only time I feel home is when I'm alone or far away. But the road call says the wind blows, 10 missed calls on my flip phone, so it stays closed. Staring out my window while my mind slowly goes off into my headphones. Hoping that the dough will be worth it for the show, but who knows? Yeah, let's go and roll it up, blow it all away. No sense in growing up, we laugh like kids all day. And there's nothing you can say that will ever make us change, no. We're never gonna change. And day after day, it's just the same old thing. Working class life, and yes, it surely will bring a food to the table and a roof when it rains. But for the most part, you're just doing the same thing. A part of a machine with a ball and a chain. You try to be happy, yet all you feel is pain. It's a shame to use your brain and know that someone never changed. But if insanity's the game, then you can take my hand and play. Life has a rhythm that I ride to, and you can come along if you would like to. And I can show you what it's like to walk in my shoes, to learn how to love just like I do. Look me in the eye and you will find truth. I'm testifying to the lying in my mic booth. And you're hating on me cause I ain't like you. I ain't like you. Yeah, let's go and roll it up, blow it all away. No sense in growing up, we laugh like kids all day. And there's nothing you can say that will ever make us change, no. We're never gonna change. Yo, my life is like a movie that nobody's producing. I write the music, but nobody is moving. Cause don't nobody care, and everyone's confused. And the characters change and never reaching a conclusion. And I don't know if I'll make it to the end. Cause all I know is after we begin, the wind shifts us in many different directions. Like the pen lifts up off the paper, disconnected from anything we can feel, hear, and see. And the words that I write mean something more than just to me. It's amazing that we've all grown accustomed to change. Cause we can.
Hey, what's going on, man?
Hey, and we are having a good day today. How about you?
That would have not taken quite as long if I would quit clicking the wrong button. I was doing all of the right things, but clicking the wrong buttons.
Been there, done that, bought the farm, bought the t-shirt.
Happy Sunday to you, man. How you doing?
I'm doing great. How about you?
Not bad, man. It was a good day. Good day today. Tired getting things done around the house, so got my countertops in.
Nice, nice. Now, how did that go?
Pretty flawlessly, actually. They did the guys that I hired to make I say cabinets. They're countertops. The guys I hired to make them did a very fantastic job, and I did the installation, and they look really, really good, and I'm very happy with the way that it looks. Now I just need to go and make a decision on what kind of tile I want for the backsplash, and then how I want the floor to look, and then I can finish up that job.
Okay. So you're getting there.
Yeah, it's I'd love to show pictures because I enjoy how good these look, but it actually looks like crap until I get the backsplash on. It's not worth taking. It's not worth showing pictures.
Well, you'll get there soon enough, right?
I took some before pictures, and when I took these countertops out, these countertops were the purchase order was stapled to the bottom of the countertop. So I pulled this thing out and I ripped this piece of paper off there, and it had the purchase order for the home builder that built my house. Back in the purchase order was written in 1983, and the house was built in the beginning of 1984. So those were original countertops.
Good. Well,
And I had to rebuild the inside of one of my cabinets because it was it was the one under the sink, and over the course of 30 freaking years, you're probably going to sprout a leak every once in a while.
oh yeah, yeah.
The So I'm like, okay, when I pull the countertop out, then I'm ripping all that plumbing out because I'm going to put with the new countertops, I put in a brand new sink.
Yeah.
And all that other stuff. So I'm like, okay, I'm going to have more than enough room to work. I'm not going to have to be breaking shit in half and making things fit a certain way. I'll just have everything's going to be removed, so I'm going to have all of this vertical space. So I did that, and the thing is, this it was surprisingly clean underneath there, underneath all the warped, nasty, crappy wood. But it had gone through two repairs, and then there was a repair to one of the repairs. It was pretty bad. They didn't know what the hell they were doing. So the first time they just slapped in the wood siding or wood paneling.
Yeah.
It was really, really hot in the 70s.
Yeah.
That's what they fixed it with the first time.
Oh, gee.
The second time they fixed it was with another set of wood paneling of a different color, and then they put stick-on floor tiles on top of it.
Jeez.
And all this came out, and I'm just like, oh my gosh! And then I looked underneath, it's the slab.
Yeah.
It wasn't really. It was a little bit dusty down there, but other than that, that slab hasn't seen the light of day since 1984, and
Wow.
It looked good. It wasn't. I expected to see maybe a little bit of wood rot down there, or maybe some moisture, but there wasn't any. It was bone dry, with no evidence of like insects infestations or anything like that. So I'm really happy.
Good. Well, we got Holly in the room. Hello, Holly. Hello, Camo Boss, Tyler. Good to see everyone. And come on in, have a seat, grab some popcorn. Let's have some fun. Koz is in telling us about his upgrades, which I keep saying he needs to videotape.
I really don't. Because if I videotape myself working, it would show how really inefficient I am.
I think come on. Now even Minx sat there and said it was relaxing to watch you do that.
Because I was working during the broadcast.
Mm-hmm.
I actually put down wood floor it's in the room that I'm sitting in right now. So in the hour or so that I spent on the show with her, I did like 3/4 of this room. So that was nice.
That's true. That's true. No, that was funny. She said, "Oh, it's so relaxing watching him do this." I think that this is woman porn. Just watching guys do do-it-yourself stuff. Oh, hello, Donnie. How are you, man? It's good to see everybody. Come on in, have a seat, pull in some popcorn. Make sure to share some with Spanky.
I was cleaning out some of my cabinets.
Mm-hmm.
And I used to eat a lot of popcorn.
Oh, okay.
And along with popcorn, I've got an air popper, and I've got my stash of corn kernels and whatever.
Yeah.
But I also put a very unhealthy amount of butter on there, and then on top of the unhealthy amount of butter, I usually put like white cheddar. You get the movie theaters.
Yeah, yeah.
So it's either like the white cheddar, or they have the garlic flavor. They have nacho cheese flavor. There's cayenne pepper. Anything to make popcorn not taste like popcorn is what I put it on there.
Yeah, yeah. Well, with me, I can't have popcorn at the moment because of my diet. Although I still kind of broke my diet yesterday and today. So
what communist diet are you on that prevents you from eating popcorn?
Keto.
Keto, you can have several handfuls of popcorn as long as you don't, and you can put butter on it. Actually, they recommend that you put butter on it.
Yes, because you need the fat.
But just regular popcorn with some butter on there, you can have several handfuls of that popcorn and still be under like 20 grams or 25 grams, whatever your target is.
Yeah. Well, with
Treat
me,
yourself right, Owl.
I'm a little careful because, well, popcorn and me don't. We get along, but I like it too much. I can't just have one or two handfuls. When I start eating it, I have bowlfuls, and not little bowls, the big old bowls.
I mean, the only thing that turns me off of popcorn is no matter how hard I try, I'm always flossing for about a half an hour after I eat popcorn.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree with you. I flossed the other day and actually had the floss cut off in between my teeth.
That's not good.
And I'm like, oh crap, I got to get this out of my tooth. I had to resort to getting. My wife has a water pick, but she's never used it, and it was still in the box. I had to resort to pulling that out.
I don't like water picks, man. Because if you hit the wrong spot, you're bleeding.
Yeah, well, I had to sit there and turn it on high, and just that one little area, and it finally knocked it loose. It's like, dang. Because the last thing I really wanted to do was have to go to a dentist just to get out a piece of floss.
Right?
Tyler, yes, I could eat a full tin. I'm that bad when it comes to popcorn. I really am. I have a hard time holding off on sweets, popcorn, things like that.
Oh, sweets. Guess what?
What?
When I had to go to Home Depot yesterday to get some stuff.
Yeah.
For my countertops, and I was assaulted by some Girl Scouts.
Oh.
And they made me buy 2 boxes of cookies. One was the Caramel Delights, which is usually it's just a normal thing.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the girls said, "Hey, mister, would you like to buy our last box?" And this was just a sales thing because I saw an entire big box full of these little containers of these cookies.
Yeah.
But she's like, "Sir, would you like to buy our last box of lemonades?" I'm like, "Oh, I haven't had those before." So, yeah. So I bought a box of those, and I ate 3/4 of them after lunch today. Dude, those go down so good. You don't even have to have milk with them. I'm sure milk would make them even more delicious.
Mm-hmm.
But those lemonades are legit, dude. Those are super good. And then not Spanky, but Minx got me turned on to the s'mores cookies.
Oh,
those are similar to crack. those are another one of those cookies that are. If they weren't so sweet, I'd eat more of them. But they're damn good. They're
now,
really good. But nothing tops the Caramel Delights yet.
You know Oreos has triple stuff, right?
Yes.
I had those 2 weeks ago, or last week, excuse me, last weekend. Oh my God.
I look forward to the Girl Scouts coming out and peddling their cookies just because I do like the Caramel Delights. They're the exact same thing as Samoa's. There's no difference between the two cookies. I like those. Now I like the lemonades as well.
Well, we have Tyler sitting there going, luckily I have yet to find a Girl Scout dealer.
Tyler, I've got a web address. You can get them from Minx's kids.
Ooh. And then Chris Pookie's saying, "I have a story about about Girl Scout cookies." I'm not sure I want to hear that coming from Pookie. Might make it. Pookie always has interesting stories,
right?
Yeah. Kamo Boss says the dealers find you. Oh, they do. Too.
I went to Chick-fil-A a couple of weeks ago, and they were peddling cookies inside of the Chick-fil-A.
Really?
Yes.
Huh. Well, with me, was it? I have I have a love for Girl Scout cookies. I'll give you that. But I've even stayed away from those. I have been good I have been good, and I'm
What's the fun
maintaining.
in that? What's the fun in that?
It keeps
You
my
got to cut
doctor.
loose every once in a while, man. You can't just be that
I
straight
didn't
up
say
and
I
down.
didn't cheat. I didn't say
Oh,
I didn't cheat. I just have been good.
you have
Okay,
to.
and I've been good mainly because of my doctor.
What does he know? So he went to college for a bunch of years. Big deal.
It's what they saw in my blood. I have to behave.
I think you need a second opinion.
Yeah, well, I did. We found a whole 20-foot Connex full of cookies in Afghanistan in '08.
That's outstanding.
Oh, Tyler.
The thing about getting, I remember I was in Iraq, and it would take, from the time that something got mailed from the States, it would take probably at least 2 weeks. You'd get it no sooner than 2 weeks. So in between like 2 and 4 weeks is when you get it.
Yeah.
And the stuff, it gets to Balad or something, and it sits, and it sits, and it sits until until several other shipments show up, and then there's enough to actually make a run.
Yeah.
So it just sits. It's a little warm over there. So some of the things that I did receive were melted.
No doubt. You have to wonder if someone wouldn't send some cookie dough if the cookies wouldn't have been cooked by the time they got to you.
The most stuff that I actually asked for, like from my family, was just like those single serve oatmeals or the Nutella. Magazines, books.
Hello, Albert. No, you haven't missed any news yet. We haven't gotten to that. Was it Pookie says, just imagine sitting in a nice AC area in Iraq, then eating 3 boxes of Samoas, then stepping out in the dead of summer heat.
Right?
Oh.
I guess we can't do anything without mentioning the coronavirus crap that's going around.
I have to give the president kudos. He this week kind of headed off a bunch of political crap and is starting to hold more news conferences, press conferences about the coronavirus. But the one thing that they is being pointed out, and I have to agree with, he made a very good move in January by shutting down transportation from China to here. Okay? He got a lot of crap for that, and I agree with it. It was a smart move. And the thing is, if it wasn't for what he did, we would be a lot worse off right now.
I think so. I think that some of the problems that we're experiencing right now are people that that not necessarily have come in contact with someone from China, but come in contact with people from Italy.
Yes. Well,
So and so forth tested positive for coronavirus. They were in northern Italy. A few weeks ago.
There's Italy. We have a soldier in South Korea.
Camp Carroll.
And
pulling that out of my memory box.
Everybody's trying to say, "Oh, we have so many. We have very few cases. Look at China, and then tell me we have a lot of cases." Okay. China is overflowing. China has a lot of cases, and that's just what they're reporting. We have very few cases.
A shit ton.
We have so few cases right now.
We're up to like 64 now.
Yeah, and that's not a lot.
76. We're up to 76.
That's not a lot compared to China and some other places. And it's mainly because transportation was cut off. And I'm glad. And was it President said he now has cut off Italy and South Korea and Iran from people, if they're American, they have to be quarantined. and otherwise nobody's allowed to come in. And I agree with that. It's
I think it's being. I think the seriousness of it. I think it's being hyped up for two reasons. One, because it's new; we've never seen this before. That's one reason. I understand that.
yeah.
Second reason, I think it's more of a political ploy by the media
Oh,
to kind of overplay the seriousness of it.
there's a reason. It's a twofold reason. One, it looks like Trump is not in control. Two, it's killing the stock market.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Because I mean, you're talking a good economy. That's the last thing they want for Trump. So they're
Well,
trying to kill the stock
one of the
market.
better things of Trump's reelection is he's leaning a lot on the economy and how well it's doing.
Exactly. And you're right, Pookie. The media a month ago was hailing the flu more dangerous. COVID-19. Now they're all trying to play it up, and the real problem is, okay, everybody's like, well, it's just kind of like the flu. It is just kind of like the flu. Problem is, it's more. It spreads
It's
easier.
more respiratory. It's more respiratory. It's not necessarily fever and stomach ache and this, that, and the other. It's a respiratory infection.
Exactly. It's more of a lung thing.
Yeah.
And at this point, it also mutates quicker than others. Well, hello, Mr. Kenneth Eisen. Anyway, no, it's a lot more, and can't even speak. It mutates quicker than a lot of other viruses, and that's the other part is they're worried about coming up with a vaccination and it not being relevant by the time they come up with it.
Well, and also there's been some faulty test kits going on, which is not a good thing.
No. In fact, that the media has kind of sat there and said, well, we don't have enough test kits. We don't have enough test kits. There's a reason. Because all the test kits that are out there are being made in China. And by different companies, and each of them have their downside to it, that they're not as reliable. They get a lot of false positive and false negatives. In other words, they're just not reliable. There isn't a reliable kit out there yet, and that's the problem. They want a reliable kit put together, and nobody has one.
And that takes time, and with time comes more infections and
Exactly.
more people dying. And
It's just been brought to my attention. New York State confirms first coronavirus case, and that was just 4 minutes ago that came in.
In New York State?
In New York State.
So now you need to look at that person who just tested positive, and then you need to trace their steps back. Where have you been the last 2 to 3 weeks in your life?
Yeah.
Because everybody that you've come into close contact with is a potential. You've potentially infected those people.
Yes. And Phil, I agree with you. We'll be fine.
Oh yeah, I think we're going to be fine. I think if you're elderly, or if you're already immune compromised, then yeah, you might have some difficulty with it. But this has got a 97.5% survivability rate on average across all age groups.
Yeah. They're saying, and people like me are the people that have to worry. Compromised immune systems. I've already talked. My wife has already laid down the law as far as that stuff goes, and my wife has already said that it's already in Washington State. She said if it is accountable for coming over here to the east side, she says you're not going to the gym.
Well, she's going to lock your ass in your brand new RV.
Basically, yes. She said at that point, her and I will be in a different room because she goes to work, so therefore she could get it because she has coworkers that are kids, and kids will catch everything. Right. See, Ice. This is the one thing, and a lot of people don't understand. If you've been injured, you may have compromised immune systems and not even realize it. I know I have a compromised immune system, and I'm actually on something to help me. So there's a good chance if I caught it, it wouldn't kill me, but it could do more lung damage. And that's what I have to worry about.
And with as often as you have, your bronchitis flare-ups and stuff, you don't need that.
Exactly. It's not the smartest thing. Yeah, see, Ice says he has a limited lung capacity from injuries. Ice, at some point, maybe I know you don't always not always watched stuff that I've done. Sometime we really need to sit down and talk about low-dose naltrexone for you, bud. The reinfection rate, that's something that has not come up that I haven't even thought about.
It's been mentioned that people that have recovered have relapsed into the illness of coronavirus.
And the other thing that's brought up is they're saying that some people will get it, they'll show signs for 24 hours and it'll go away, and then it'll be another week or two and they'll get it again. And then there are people that get it and it knocks them down, they end up with pneumonia, and at that point they're open to it reoccurring. Right, just in other words, it's like they never get rid of it. So, from California first, yeah. What will help to clear out the coronavirus or the plague from all the rats? Phil asked an interesting question. What will help clear out the homeless from California first, the coronavirus or the plague from the rats?
Oh, damn! Is that our choice? We have to choose one,
right? You're right, though. And Albert says, what's worse? And we were talking about the coronavirus. Is not to mention we survived Justin Bieber. Oh, I love it, guys. Keep it coming. Yeah, see, Ice, that's just it. You guys, everybody hears me cough. I just had to cough as I mentioned it. And that's, my lungs are scarred up pretty good, okay? People don't think about stuff like that. Like me, because of my injuries, my immune system went down, and I ended up with a whole bunch of other problems that are underlying. One of them, I ended up with sports asthma and bronchitis. I'm easily susceptible to bronchitis. A lot better than I used to be, but it's still there, and something like that has to be taken into account. That's why my wife said, if it starts showing up here, you're in the RV, where you will be sealed in the RV and nobody can touch you. Tyler,
wrap that RV up in that little plastic shrink wrap.
Mm-hmm.
It'll feed you through a slot in the window or whatever.
Exactly. I mean, but quite honestly, because I'm on low-dose naltrexone, it helps. My immune system is not as bad. I've actually been exposed to both the flu and pneumonia, and I haven't caught it.
Well, if you compare this, COVID-19 and the flu, I mean, the flu has a rough history.
Yes.
And just the seasonal flu, any year kills almost 300,000 people to 690,000 people.
Mm-hmm.
And those stats are coming from the CDC.
Yes.
So that's like somewhere between 200 and something thousand and 600,000.
And yet, go ahead.
Globally, not just in the United States. That's a global.
And yes, Pookie, the Surgeon General is now saying, stop buying surgical masks.
Right. That's not going to help you.
Phil, you're right. I'm actually very safe. My wife is just overcautious because she's mad at me for something I did 2 or 5.5 years ago.
Probably.
Um, 5.5 years ago, when I was told I had only a couple months to live, I know my wife, and I said,
She's pissed off at you for surviving?
huh?
She's pissed off at you for surviving?
She's pissed off at me for not telling her I was told I only had a couple months to live.
I thought she was like counting on you to kick the bucket.
No.
And then you ended up surviving, and that just pissed her off.
No, she was very upset with me. She was very upset with me when I said I did not tell her, and then she found out. Hello, Bailey. Good to see you. She and I didn't tell her because the first thing she would have done was quit her job, because most of the time I was catching stuff because of her job. She would bring it home, and I know her, and she loves her job. But the first thing she would have done is say, I need to quit. And I couldn't do that because this is her career.
Decontamination tent. That's all you need, just a decontamination tent outside the house.
Easier said than done. More because she was a carrier. She didn't necessarily show signs and symptoms.
Oh, it was just attached to her.
Yes. And so it came down to me just not telling her. And then when I got on low dose and I started doing better, I let it slip that I had been told I wasn't going to live for very long, and I got in trouble.
You've been in the doghouse ever since.
I have. Albert's
Do you know the kinds of diseases you can catch in the doghouse?
All sorts. Oh, Albert says, stay in your RV with your desktop computer, with Dead by Daylight and food in the fridge. Perhaps that might be a stay vacation. And you're right, Pookie. Masks can actually make it so you can spread infections even quicker. So there's a lot out there. If you haven't been able to catch stuff, I've actually been watching the news specifically to see how the media was going to react and how the president reacted. The president reacted properly. People do not need to be reacting like, oh God, I got to have masks. Masks are actually going to cause you problems. And two, right now, as far as how it's spreading and everything else, the president is actually on top of it. And everybody's like, well, you like the president. No, I'm realistic medically. And he is doing the right thing. If you go and you get everybody all caught up in worrying about it, you're going to have emergency rooms flooded with people who don't have it. So therefore, resources are going to be strained. And then if someone does have it, they're going to come in and spread it to all those people who didn't have it. And it's going to become a very big mess.
There was a blurb in the news yesterday where people were railing. I mean, because everybody likes to, especially the media, likes to talk shit against, whatever President Trump says. They have to give him a hard time about whatever he said.
Yeah.
So he said that coronavirus was a hoax, which he didn't say. And he also said that the person that died in Washington State was a woman. So there was like the Twitter sphere just blew up.
Yeah.
Everyone's just railing against President Trump. And then CDC actually came out and said, sorry, my bad. They gave him during the briefing before President Trump made his comments, they gave him wrong information.
And as far as him saying that it's a hoax, yes, he said it's a hoax, but not to the coronavirus.
He said the politicization of this,
yes, is a hoax. And that because they're trying to say that Trump doesn't have control of this and that he actually has decreased the CDC's budget, which no, he actually increased it. And people have gotten caught for that one too. So,
and it would, and it has been said in ICE's one of his previous shows. It's like that 24-hour news cycle is now, it's like a 20-minute news cycle.
Exactly.
Because of social media and people just lighting fires.
And At this point, well, you heard about yesterday in the was it South Carolina's primaries for Democrats?
Yeah. Creepy Joe won it.
Creepy Joe, big one. He
At least 20 points.
and because of it, he made $8 million overnight.
How did he make $8 million?
Well, in other words, for his campaign, he campaign contributions in less than 24 hours made $8 million.
Damn.
So that gave him an injection. I don't know. Which would you rather see go up against Trump? Sanders or Biden?
I don't think President Trump, and this is my personal opinion, I don't think President Trump is going to have an issue with either of them.
No, I agree.
But I think it would be more of a slam dunk if Sanders was the nominee.
I agree.
Because even Democrats out there are going, no, we don't need to go down the socialism route.
Well, and you know, I'm at a kind of a balance on that. I'd like to see Sanders win it, just because it would be such a slam dunk. But I don't want to see him win it, the primary for one reason.
I don't want to teeter that close to the freaking edge.
Exactly. That's my problem. Is I don't want to see socialism acknowledged that far, because
if you line up all of the Democratic candidates, the one who's most palatable is probably Klobuchar.
Actually, if you allowed some of the other candidates, one that's still running, that still hasn't pulled out, but she's not making it. She's not making enough percentage to make it on stage. Gabbard.
Tulsi Gabbard.
Tulsi Gabbard. She is the most palatable to me.
Well, she's likable. Her positions suck, but I don't dislike her.
Her positions are more...
I don't have a dislike for her. I have a dislike for Biden.
Yeah.
I have a dislike for Sanders. I don't have a dislike, I don't think, for any of the other candidates.
Her position is at least more moderate and more willing to talk common sense. And she's willing to talk about meeting people in the middle.
Yeah, she got a really... She was on a good track to be a contender, and then she ended up, I think the wheels came off on her campaign is when she voted present during the impeachment hearing.
Mm-hmm.
And then she's been doing a lot of interviews on Fox.
Yes.
And then she's been getting railed against for showing up on Fox to do interviews.
Oh yeah, unless she's been showing up on it's not just Fox, it's the wrong
networks. Exactly.
The wrong commentators. If you show up to someone like Chris Wallace, you're fine. If you show up for Brett Baier, you're fine. You show up to Hannity, Tucker, or any of those, you're labeled. And yeah, and it didn't help, and Pookie brings that out. Clinton called her a Russian plant.
Do you think that stuck, or do you think it was more of the... I really think that Russian plant comment just kind of fell flat.
It fell flat, but
her voting present during the impeachment hearings was probably the nail in the coffin. Right there.
It voted flat, but you have to understand, Clinton, as much as a lot of us may not like her, still has a big following. And Tulsi Gabbard was actually hoping to get some of Clinton's, she's a female, behind her. And Clinton kind of poo-pooed that by doing that.
So do you think Hillary Clinton at all has, other than an endorsement, do you think she has her eyes on maybe running with Biden if Biden ends up getting the nomination? Or if it gets closer to, if it appears that Biden is closer to earning the nomination, that she'll try to inject her name into his hat for the vice president?
Problem is, he's already said he wants Michelle Obama.
Oh no.
Yeah. But here's the kicker. The way I look at it is, if he really wants, see right now, and this is the part that I laugh at. Everybody's like, Sanders is just doing so great. No, Sanders is doing the same, in fact, worse than he did in 2016.
Is he really?
If you look at his percentage and how many actual people are voting for him, they're less. The difference is there's more people in the running, so the vote gets watered down. If it was just one person in Sanders, Sanders would be doing piss poor. He would only be getting 30%, maybe 40%, because if Warren was out of it. Maybe 40%.
I think the pool is so large.
Yes.
But it's shrinking now because Buttigieg took his hand out of. He suspended his campaign.
And so did Steyer.
Steyer did also, yeah.
So
and it's funny. I saw a lot of funny things on Twitter that said Steyer started trending on Twitter after he quit, and he sunk in I don't know, hundreds of millions of dollars. Someone did the math, and it was just like $3,300 or $3,600 per voter.
Wow.
And he didn't get any delegates.
Isn't that a trip?
I saw a request for a shout out.
What's that?
It's from Sean Callahan, and I like me some sushi. And he's from the Fort Campbell area, and I haven't tried your sushi. I have no idea what kind of a business you're running, but I love sushi, and I wish you a million percentage good luck points with your venture for Express Sushi.
Good luck, Sean. So no,
a Kickstarter out there trying to do a little bit of crowdfunding for the business. That's not cheap, man.
No, it's never cheap. So as far as right
Holy
now,
shit. Interactive. Hold on a minute. This is interesting. An interactive experience using robots.
Really?
What the hell? That is neat, dude.
You got our
Express Sushi will provide an interactive experience using robots and a 2-tier conveyor belt system.
Oh, I've seen that kind with the conveyor belts.
I've seen that like in Japan, where you have this restaurant and you're sitting down, and they got this little conveyor that kind of goes around and where everybody can get to the stuff. That's neat. Still, Tennessee needs a good sushi restaurant.
Yeah, well, we have a good one here in town. It has a whole conveyor belt thing. My wife likes sushi. I do not.
I'm kind of a sushi. My kids like it. I really don't like the raw fish taste and texture. I'll do the California rolls all day long.
Yeah. Yes, Pookie. I know I know what taxation is. Yes, we know. Oh, Pookie, gotta love you. Got to love you. No, the politics are getting interesting, and I'm kind of bringing it out right now myself because I don't know how many people are watching TV. I know a lot of people don't like watching news. There's a lot of crap going back and forth, and it's unnecessary, and I'll agree with that.
Mm-hmm.
The politicalization of coronavirus, I think, is unnecessary. Do I think Biden has been jump-started? Yes. I think he's been jump-started.
But even some of his comments, I mean, he's doing interviews, or not interviews, but he's doing speeches.
Yes.
And during the speeches, he's like, "My name is Joe Biden, and I'm running for state senate."
Oh, yeah.
In the audience, he's just like, "Oh, what?"
No, I agree.
I think he's slipping mentally, man. I really don't think he's. I really don't think he's with it, and that's why I brought up the Hillary Clinton question. Because if she ran for vice president with Joe Biden, and then he would have to be removed from office because he's losing his mental capacity, and then all of a sudden we have President Hillary Clinton.
Well, but here's the thing. When he's been asked, who would you see as your running partner? Get this. He said he would bring in Michelle Obama, and then his first elect for Supreme Court would be Barack Obama.
even though he doesn't have an active law license.
Yeah. And the whole time it's like, okay, is he kissing up to get there? Because Obama has not given out his blessing to anybody.
Right.
And I think he was trying to save himself by getting that, and he hasn't. Nobody has gotten it. So it's going to be interesting, that part also, to see to see when that's going to come in. Who do I think? I think Bloomberg. Actually, Bloomberg did not do well. And what is it? Tuesday we have another primary.
And it's Super Tuesday.
Yes, and that's going to be kind of
That's like the balance of the states. Like a good majority of the rest of the states are doing their primaries.
Yeah, and that in and of itself, right there, when that comes through, unless Bloomberg pulls out, I think he's done. And they're kind of scared of Biden. They like him. They are like, oh, he polls better against Trump, that he would win against Trump. But after the impeachment, now they poll even. So I don't know. I think people should be scared of someone like Biden, because you're right. I don't think he has the mental capacity to really pull it off. I really don't think so. And I can't. Do I think Sanders should be there? If it wasn't for Klobuchar and Bloomberg and all those others, I think Sanders would be out already. I really do.
Because they're sucking away votes.
Yeah, because they're sucking away votes from one person against Sanders. And that is just, that's a problem. So, I don't know. I'm not going to vote for any of those. Steyer on stage trying to hop dance. No, I didn't see that, Pookie, but he's out of the race now, so
that kind of went viral. He did a pretty awful job, but you got to do crazy shit when you're campaigning to be president. That's
exactly
a little on the ridiculous side. So I'm looking at the standings right now. Bernie Sanders is ahead the delegate count at 58 delegates. Joe Biden at 50. Pete Buttigieg at 26, but he dropped out. So where do those delegates go?
That's the part that people don't understand. Anybody that has delegates after or when the convention comes around, that in other words, if there's delegates they're sitting there that do not have anybody to vote for, at that point, who's left has to go and try to win them.
So they have to fight for Pete Buttigieg's 26 delegates.
Yep. They have to fight for the delegates. And the thing is that there's a lot of delegates that still need to declare. There's only 149 declared right now. Oh yeah,
and,
that's what Super Tuesday. You're going to see a majority of the delegates at that point.
It says you need 1,991 delegates are needed to win the nomination.
Yes.
And if that threshold is not met, then it goes to there's a word for it. I think it's a contested convention.
Okay, there's several tiers.
Is that the right word?
Well, that's what I was going to say. There's a contested and a brokered. Contested they do first round of delegates, and they try to convince delegates to go one way or the other. And if that doesn't work, then they go to a brokered, where they DNC steps in with super delegates and decides. Bernie will lose in a brokered. And yes, Pookie, it's going to be communism versus capitalism if you consider Joe Biden a capitalist, which I really don't.
I think if Joe Biden's there, you're going to get more of whatever
Barack Obama was.
Yeah.
Branco, okay. I'm gonna. I don't think I really didn't think I'd have to say this, but I'll say it again. Branco, true socialism, ideal socialism, is a perfect utopian community. Okay, perfect socialism, would work if you could put a chip in everybody's brain, and the minute they had a corrupt thought, would shock them. Because unfortunately, all it takes is one corrupt person in a socialistic society, and the system will come down every time. Because socialism breeds power-hungry people. The elite want to stay elite. The power-hungry want to get up there. And if you aren't one of those two, you are nothing. You are a peasant. And you will be taxed to death, and they really don't care about you. So, socialism by the book is a utopia. Everything is paid for. You just have to go to work every day, and you don't have to worry about food. Everybody has food, and everybody has a house, and everybody has a car, and everybody has everything. Okay? In a socialistic society, that is the perfect outcome.
But the thing is, I mean, in not so many words, at some point in time, and it's usually pretty damn quick, you're going to run out of other people's money. Exactly. And then shit's just going to fall apart.
and that is the problem with socialism. Is socialism, there's not enough money. Never will be enough money. And even if you throw away the concept of money, at some point someone is going to believe that they are better than another person and they deserve more. And that's all it's going to take. At that point, it's done. Venezuela is the most recent example. Venezuela, you've got lines for food, and you listen to Bernie. Some of his statements, he's actually sat there and said there's nothing wrong with food lines. Food lines are good. So, and you're right, socialism is not about the money. The problem is, even if it's not money, something has to work. You have to do something for something. People have to have a reason to go to work. And unfortunately, just saying because that's your job and you get nothing for it, most people eventually give up.
Your incentive is really steeply diminished.
Yes, it's like a teacher down in a conservative college. He had some students actually who sat there and said, "Okay, they were talking about socialism and really wanting it." He said, "Okay, fine. We're going to set up a socialistic society in our classroom." And he started teaching his subject. And then he sat there and said, "Okay, first test." Everybody did their test, and you had some people got A's, some B's, C's, and D's, and even some failures. And he said, "Okay, in a socialistic society, nobody's better, nobody's worse. So we're going to take the average." And that's what everybody's going to get. People didn't like that. There was a lot of bitching, especially from the people who got A's. So, turned around and next test, people who got A's didn't get A's. Why work hard for the A's? It ended up that the class grade went down to a D-. Because people just stopped.
I've got the write-up on that.
Because people just stopped trying.
So in economics, you mind if I read this?
Go ahead.
It See, an economics professor, this is really short, it's a page long.
Yeah.
An economics professor at a local college made the statement that he had never failed a single student before, but had once failed an entire class. The class had insisted that Obama's socialism worked, and that if enacted, no one would be poor and no one would be rich. It would be the great equalizer. So the class was sold on socialism. The professor said, okay, we'll have an experiment in this class using Obama's democratic socialism. For the rest of the year, all grades will be averaged. Everyone will receive the same grade, and no one would be unjustly at the bottom of the class, and no one would be unjustly at the top of the class. There would be economic justice and grade equality in this class. After the first test, the grades were averaged and everyone got a C. The students who had studied hard were upset, and the students that who studied little were happy. Within weeks, as the second test rolled around, the students who studied little studied even less, and the students who studied hard for the first test decided that they wanted the free ride too, so they studied a lot less. And it was a utopian paradise for the slackers. The second test average was a D. No one was happy. The third test was administered less than 2 months after plunging the entire class into Obama's progressive democratic socialism. The average was an F. The grades never increased above an F, as the envy and blame created rage. More tests, more Fs. Even the slackers had hard feelings. No one would study for the benefit of anyone else. All failed. The entire class failed.
That's what happens.
That's crazy.
And that's the truth about socialism.
And you can apply that to work.
Yes. You can. And that's the reason. Would I like to see Bernie Sanders end up running? It would be a lot easier run for Trump, that's for sure. And it would probably destroy the Democratic Party for a good 10 to 20 years.
At least a couple of election cycles, yeah.
Exactly. But at the same time, I don't want to worry about that what if. What if just
like
the right
earlier, I don't want
tsunami
to
comes
come
along?
that close to the freaking edge of going socialistic. No.
Yeah, I don't want to see us there. And that would, to me, be very disappointing. Do I think it could happen? Yeah. I think Bernie could win.
20 years ago, 30 years ago, you'd see, no, we're so far away from that. That'll never happen.
Exactly.
When I was in high school, we studying civics, and I learned that, yes, there is a socialist party of American whatever, workers or something.
Mm-hmm.
Like, why? Why is there not a bullet in their head?
I agree. And that's, when I was going through, of course, when I was younger, 30 years ago, during the Reagan years and even during Carter, Carter too, but Clinton, Democrats and Republicans worked at getting along. There wasn't such a rift. It was about, okay, you think one way and some think the other. But at the same time, they work for the betterment of the U.S. Now,
I mean, back then, you used to have a bunch of old dudes that got in a room and they fought for what they thought was best for the country. And
exactly.
They eventually came to an agreement, and now it's just, you get half the party is just sitting on their hands and not doing anything. It's a lot different now than it was years ago.
And I agree, and it is. Was it go back to the native ways? Their socialism is still in existence, Al. Yes, I know it is.
So I think maybe if there's at the end of this fight and there's a tie or all the delegates, someone doesn't total 1,900 delegates.
Yeah.
What if they had a duel or like a fight to the or something?
I used to say, I wish they would go to the way of whoever went in there or whoever ran.
Jousting, that would be great.
Had to go into a boxing match during the general election.
Like a week before the general election, you joust, or you box, or whatever, some kind of MMA event.
Yeah.
I'd pay for that.
You know, Phil, don't get me on unions. Unions have their place and had their place. They're in a lot of places where they shouldn't be anymore because they defend inappropriately. You look at the teachers' unions; they will defend pedophiles. They will defend abusers. I don't agree with that. But they
promote mediocrity. I think is my take on unions are they promote mediocrity in some ways. They're okay. Police unions, I guess, are okay. Electricians unions are fine, but
there are some unions that are still useful, but they're
useful because you can't work in that job unless you're qualified.
Exactly,
and that's great. That's awesome.
But I don't agree with unions that are there and they don't allow for people who are horrible to be moved out. There are horrible, and I'm not just going after teachers' unions because there are other places. I don't want to get into that because I don't really want that kind of blowback. But teachers' unions in particular, I have seen some very horrible representation of people that the teachers are horrible. They should not be teaching, and they made sure that they still did. And they were hurting the students emotionally or even physically in some cases, and the unions backed them, and they shouldn't have. And that's, to me, that is where unions should. I think there should be some controls of some form on unions. I don't like the fact that they have the mobster mentality. Anyway, we are at the top of the hour. Did you realize that? Did you realize we got there?
As soon as you said it, I looked down at the clock and I went, "Woo!"
Yeah. So we are at the top of the hour, everybody. Mr. Koz is going to go have some dinner and walk the dog and then go get some sleep because he has to work tomorrow.
Early days.
So I'm going to take a quick 10-minute break, everybody, and I will be back with some fun stories. We're going to get off the whole politics and just have some fun.
There you go.
So everybody, I will see you in 10 shots.
See ya.
Before coffee on a Tuesday, it's already been a bad week. My girls had a couple flats, and my dishwasher sprung a leak. From the kitchen, her complaining, it just ain't cute anymore. I get the itch and start to drifting towards the great outdoors. I smell the honeysuckle blooms, I can see the red buds too. In my garage, I got rods up on the wall. I got a John boat in the yard under a faded camo tarp. I need a reset to my spot. I hear the call. I just gone fishing. Let her know that I ain't gone. Junk mail don't come out there. My phone won't ring. The only thing I want to hear is my reel with a big one on a string. That large mouth don't talk at all, and my weight just sinks away. Set him free, bring him home. The one decision I gotta make. I smell the honeysuckle blooms, I can see the red buds too. In my garage, I got rods up on the wall. I got a John boat in the yard under a faded camo tarp. I need a reset to my spot. I hear the call. Just gone fishing. Let her know that I ain't gone. honeysuckle blooms. I can see the red buds too. I got the rods in my garage down all the wall. Threw my John boat in the truck, filled my camo cooler up. I hit the reset, hit my spot, and heated that car. I just gone fishing, let her know that I ain't gone. No, I ain't gone missing. I've just gone fishing, let her know that I ain't gone.
Everything stated on WTF Nation Radio is to be considered the opinion of the person that stated it, and not an official representation of WTF Nation Radio or U.S. Army WTF Moments.
Price does not include tax, title, or license. Some assembly required. Each item sold separately. Batteries not included. Objects in mirror are closer than they appear. If conditions persist, contact a physician. Individual results may vary. Keep out of the reach of children. Avoid prolonged exposure to direct sunlight. Keep in a cool, dark place. And
Please enjoy the show. Shots.
Thank you. I just realized I did not have on. I realized I didn't have my mic on. I apologize about that. Anyway, welcome to the second half of Kicking It with Koz. I am Al. Koz is out with his dog, either with his dog or eating dinner right now. Hello, everybody. It's good to see you again. I was not meaning to be Debbie Downer in the first hour, nor was Koz. We do want people to be aware of what's going on out there. Politically and for the coronavirus. The coronavirus, if it was really that bad, you would hear me saying, everybody, hide, put on your masks, okay? But it's nowhere near that, okay? The best thing right now is to just recognize that the coronavirus is there and go about your daily business. Because the likelihood that it's going to hit everybody is very low. They are doing a very good job of making sure everything is compartmentalized, and when they find things, they just immediately suck it in. And, I mean, shoot, what is it? They said they've got nursing home where 2 people were found to have coronavirus. They actually have the whole staff, or a lot of the staff, I should say, of the nursing home, firefighters, EMS, all of those places at this point have, or all those people are in quarantine. If that gives you any idea of how serious they are taking this, it's not a joke. So just consider that, okay? It is being taken seriously. Don't worry about that. It is taken very seriously. And that's the most we can do. Right now, the likelihood that it's going to hit where I'm at is very, very low. The likelihood that it's going to hit where you're at is very low. Simple as that. Okay? As far as the whole politics thing, I think it's smart to be aware of the situations that are out there. I don't think we need to worry about it We just need to be aware of it so that we can make our own informed decisions. That's the nice part about democracy. We, the people, have the right to speak. And our votes speak for us. And that's the most important thing. So don't forget to vote. All right, everybody, enough of that silliness. Let's hit it. Who's up for some fun stories? I know I am. Jeez. I can't even lead into the story. It's so odd. Okay. A Scottish farmer fined for punching sheep. No joke. A Scottish wool farmer has pleaded guilty to animal abuse after he was caught on video punching 2 sheep in the face, an animal welfare charity said. William Brown, 59, was fined €715,660 under Section 19 of Scotland's Animal Health and Welfare Act of 2006 after he admitted to causing unnecessary suffering to 2 rams on his farm in Pennacook, South Edinburgh in 2018. Oh my. The investigation was conducted by the Scottish Society for the Prevention of Cruelty to Animals, which is authorized to report cases of suspected cruelty to state prosecutors. Scottish SPCA Chief Inspector said he hoped the fine was severe as a warning that this behavior is unacceptable. He will be fully aware that sheep experience fear and can perceive humans as a threat. Violently lashing out at the sheep will spread fear amongst the rest of the flock. Brown was filmed by an undercover animal welfare officer sent in by the animal rights organization People for the Ethical Treatment of Animals, PETA. The organization, which documented similar cruelty to sheep in England in 2018, said it was the first time a Scottish wool farmer had pleaded guilty after being caught engaged in acts of flagrant cruelty to sheep. This is a huge milestone, but it's just the tip of the iceberg, PETA claimed. It's routine in the Scottish wool industry to kick, beat, and stamp on sheep, but so far only one person has been charged with cruelty to animals. Katie James, a spokeswoman of the National Sheep Association, said abuse of sheep was not widespread at all. Sheep farmers were trained and given guidelines, making the animals' welfare the highest priority. Have a good one, Branko. Talk to you later, my friend. Okay. I have to balance my thoughts on this. Mind you, that is a very, 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 very damn steep fine. But I do believe people should be held accountable for animal cruelty. Animal cruelty is to me, a very horrible thing. I'm a cat lover. Domestic animals are abused all the time. Abandoned, used for animal fights, things of that nature, and I'm against it. But I don't like PETA. PETA goes too far. If PETA had its way, we'd all be vegetarians. And I don't agree with that. Albert, I love you, man. So, while I understand that cruelty is cruelty of animals, no matter what it is, no matter what animal it is. I do think that at some point that fine, I think, was very, very steep. Exactly, exactly what I was saying, Kamo Boss. PETA, if they had their way, we would all be vegans, and we would be living like they do in India, where animals like cows would be allowed to roam the streets and poop in the road, and we'd all be walking in feces. And well, they already have that in San Francisco, and it's not going so well. So, in my eyes, there needs to be a balance. Do I think it's funny? In a way, that is funny. The fact that they took it to such an extreme is funny but sad. Is it sad that someone saw fit to hit an animal? Yes. So I kind of go, it's one of those stories that I think it's funny, but it needs to be aware at the same time. The next one is actually a funny story, a very funny story, because it's a government story, but not our government. Ontario's new license plates have a problem. You can't read them. A little background. The Canadian province's new design was unveiled by the provincial government, led by centre-right Ontario Premier Doug Ford last year. Almost immediately, people started comparing the plate design unfavorably to a box of Q-tips. The plates also had a new slogan, "A place to grow," which grew the era of some critics who preferred the previous "Yours to discover." Okay, so they've had a couple controversies here with this. But if you notice, when you look at this, has anyone else noticed that the newly designed license plates are totally unreadable from a distance at night? And you look at that. Can you really read any of the numbers or whatever is there? You can't. Nobody, for some reason, thought, gee, we need to make sure they're really can be seen at night. The only silver lining behind all this is the plates are so new that very few vehicles have them. But I mean, wow, that is such a government goof. Nobody had the wherewithal to say, okay, what's it look like at night? Because that's one of the things I would think of when I'm doing a plate, because police have to be able to see it. I mean, that's why they have the little lights that actually show down on the license plates on your vehicle. That's why those lights are mandatory. And they can't be seen. Oh, that's funny. People just, I mean, to think that the government didn't think enough to just simply go, okay, let's go out for a night test, or let's turn out the lights and then set it up like a nighttime situation. Nobody even thought about it. Oh, wow. Truly something to think about. Okay. Here's another odd story. Mystery smell overwhelms Pennsylvania County again. Investigators baffled. A mysterious stench once again struck parts of Delaware County, Pennsylvania. This week, overwhelming residents with its pungent odor and baffling investigators. The smell has recently been reported in towns across the country, including Glenolden, Tinsilium, and Upper Darby, just outside of Philadelphia. While no one knows what the elusive smell is or where it's coming from, residents have described it as fuel-like. It's like a sulfur smoky. As soon as I got out of the car, I could smell it. It was overwhelming, resident Diane Delaney said. I was afraid to smoke. I was like, where is this coming from? I literally thought the gas main had broken. Another Glenold resident speculated that it could be coming from the nearby creek or from sewage. Delaware County residents have reported the smell wafting in and out of neighborhoods over the last several months. Last October, the smell shut down several businesses and a school in Chester before striking Brookhaven in December. Wow. So there is something odious going on in Philadelphia and New Jersey and in Delaware. What could it be? I'm getting hot. How about you guys? It's the downside to being in my computer room. It gets hot in here. I may have to start wearing shorts again. Anyway. I can't imagine a smell being that horrible as to cause that to waft, and not just in one state. Interesting. And for those of you that did notice, yes, this is my owl shirt. I have several of them. The things that go on in the U.S. that just don't get reported on anymore. A Michigan man stabbed with samurai sword after not buying pot for his partner. I can't make this up, people. A Michigan man was attacked by his samurai sword-wielding partner last month after he allegedly didn't buy marijuana for the suspect, according to a report on Wednesday. Neil Patrick Winsinski, 28, was hit with various assault charges on January 18th, 2 days after allegedly punching the victim's ribcage and stabbing him with the 21-inch sword inside the suspect's apartment. Still armed with a bloody sword, Winsinski chased the 23-year-old victim into the parking lot before they both took refuge in their separate apartments. Police were called to the scene around noon on January 16th when they found the victim smoking a cigarette while holding a bloody towel to his side, the news website said. He suffered multiple stab wounds to his arm and torso and was taken to a local hospital in critical condition, but has since recovered. Yeah, right, Albert? That is an update from Choice of Weapons. I don't get it. Eventually, they took Winsinski outside where the suspect spat on one of the officers. Ooh, provocation. Winsinski was charged with assault with intent to murder, assault with a dangerous weapon, and assaulting or resisting police. The intent to murder charge was reportedly dismissed after Winsinski pleaded no contest to the other charges during his hearing. Police referred to Winsinski as a female, but court and voting records listed the suspect as male. Okay, that makes things interesting, huh? So, male, female, carrying a samurai sword. Yikes. Probably male. Well, today you just don't know. It could have, just been very. Yeah, we know the answer to this. Man dressed as a woman, trying to act like a woman, but carrying around a samurai sword. Oh boy. Again, people, you just can't make this up. I love America, I really do, and all the quirkiness that rings true. Okay, I better get my story. There it is. And a male baboon escapes an Australian medical facility with 2 wives before his vasectomy. Albert, only you would think of that. The plot to start a Kill Bill Volume 3. An interesting storyline, right? A male baboon and his 2 wives ran wild in Australia on Tuesday after escaping from a medical facility where he was set to undergo a vasectomy. The trio got loose while being transported to the Royal Prince Alfred Hospital in Sydney and toured the parking lot. New South Wales police said the baboon was going bananas before adding that police and wildlife officials had the situation under control and there was no immediate danger to the public. North Southwest Health Minister Brad Hazard told local news outlets that the 15-year-old male had been transported to the facility for a vasectomy and not for research purposes. Of course, making sure that people understood that. They don't want him to continue breeding with the small troop he's in. So in order for him to stay, the decision was taken that he should have a vasectomy. The 2 females were there just to keep him calm. Okay. Interesting. Hazard told the Daily Telegraph the male would have this vasectomy on Wednesday before returning with his 2 wives to his colony where he can stay forever with them without making babies. The baboons were from a colony that had been used for medical research in a whole range of areas, including reproductive issues, kidney disease, and gestational diabetes. He told the outlet. He emphasized that when the research is completed, the baboons are returned to the colony. The 3 baboon escapees had since been captured unharmed after handlers from the Taronga Zoo tranquilized them, Hazard told Australia, but not before sparking a frenzy on social media. Hazard told the Morning Herald that even he was stunned to see baboons on the loose in Sydney. I thought I had seen just about everything as health minister in North Southwest, but a baboon threesome enjoying the grounds of Royal Prince Alfred is really surprising. Now, one has to question, did the baboon hear someone say, "Yo, he's getting fixed today," and did he figure it out? Oh. But he'll be so much calmer after the surgery. Yes, he will. But I want a rowdy baboon. I want to be rowdy. Vasectomies, no. Oh. Life makes you wonder. Then you read stories like this and you just have to go, okay. That is. Then you see stories like this. And you know, I can understand sometimes revenge. Sometimes. I can understand being angry in the middle of a divorce. Yes, I can. But a Canadian businessman says he burned $1 million in cash to avoid paying his ex-wife child support. A Canadian businessman and failed mayoral candidate was thrown in jail for 30 days after telling a judge he burned 1 million Canadian dollars in cash in 2 separate bonfires to avoid paying his wife spousal and child support as part of their divorce settlement. In an Ottawa Superior Court hearing last week, Bruce McConville, 55, told a judge he withdrew about 1 million Canadian dollars, about $750,000 US, in 25 separate withdrawals from 6 separate bank accounts. He claimed he then burned the cash in 2 bonfires. Wow. In in December. McConville, who ran for mayor of Ottawa in 2018, claimed to have receipts to prove he withdrew the money. He said he did not record the bonfires, and no one witnessed him set the cash ablaze. Can I back you up a bit? When you say you destroyed it, what do you mean? Superior Court Justice Kevin Phillips asked. And McConville replied, I burned it. It's not something that I would normally do, McConville said, according to Ottawa Citizen. I am not a person that is extremely materialistic. A little goes a long way. I have always been frugal. That's why my business lasted for 31 years. I don't believe you. I don't trust you. I don't think you're honest, the judge told him. I find what you have done to be morally reprehensible because what you claim to have done willfully and directly undermines the interests of your children. McConville said he earned the money he later burned by selling some of his properties and businesses to his former accountant, a direct violation of a court order not to sell his assets. He also had failed to file an affidavit disclosing his finances to the court. The judge sentenced McConville to 30 days in jail for violating the court orders. He ordered McConville to pay $2,000 a day to his ex-wife for every day he fails to disclose his finances to the court moving forward. McConville ran for mayor in Canadian capital city in 2018 on a tough-on-crime platform, but failed to oust incumbent Jim Watson, who's held the office since 2010. Well, it looks like the tough-on-crime came back to bite him in the butt. I can't imagine. I know divorces can be angering, and I know divorces can be frustrating. I know this. Michael, we are talking about a man. We just talked about a man who decided to burn $1 million in Canadian money rather than give it to his ex-wife and for spousal support and child support. And because he hasn't disclosed a bunch of stuff, he's in jail. I understand getting frustrated, but you can't let that interfere with your children. You really can't. Divorces can get out of hand, and I've actually been a part of one of those divorces where things just happen that should not have. And I think it's really sad when it happens. I tried to stop it and I couldn't. On my part, I tried to stop it, and on the other person's part, they just wouldn't. It got out of hand, and my son suffered because of it. So I know what happens, and it's not a good thing. Jeez. But to burn money, that's a lot of money. That just is so irresponsible. And, well, we're known for our Florida Man story, so guess what? We have a Florida Man story. Florida man tried to escape cops by stripping naked. Here we go. What is it with Florida and stripping naked? Ribeyes fell out of his pants. A shoplifter suspect trying to get away from a grocery store stripped naked and steaks tumbled out of his pants, police said. Police say they found Stephen Short, 28, of DeLand, Florida, running out of the store in the buff, and when he refused to stop, officers shot him with a taser. Ooh, where did they shoot him? The incident occurred Friday night at the Save-A-Lot in DeLand, Florida. Officers were sent to the store and were told Short was being pinned to the ground by a manager and a civilian, but he was fighting them, the police said. Witnesses reported to the police that in an attempt to get away, Short wriggled out of his clothes. Right, Albert? Florida man is back and he is naked. How is stripping out of your clothes going to get you away from people? I don't get it. I really don't get it. But okay. Police said Short stole 4 packs of ribeye steaks valued at $41.24. Short was charged with resisting an officer without violence, resisting a store employee while committing a theft, and first-degree petty theft. He was held without bail Monday at the Volusia County Branch Jail. An officer arriving at the store saw coupon books and packs of meat scattered on the store's floor and a naked Short running. The store manager reported that Short was a regular shoplifter at the store and that when other shoppers reported they saw him stuffing meat in his pants, the manager stopped him. Short was taken to the hospital after it was discovered that a taser prong stuck him in the genitals. Oh, mama. Okay, I could only have thought that, got him in the as they put it, the genitals, but they actually did. Ow! Can you imagine the electrical shock going to your genitals? Whoa, Nelly! Just makes you cringe thinking about it. Oh, I love it. I mean, stripping naked to get away, again, if you flail around enough, people are going to let you go. But to think that you have to strip... What is it with Florida and naked people? I just don't get... You don't hear about a naked man in Alaska. No, you don't hear that. You hear naked man in Florida. What is it with Florida and drugs and nakedness? I mean, you can put the three together and you got your story all the time. Albert, a Hawkeye shooter, perhaps? Really, I mean, wow. He had to have been really trying to hit him there, too, No, really. I do know if they're using the ones where they're in a pack and they spurt out, the wires kind of spread, so he could have been shooting for... They're going to shoot for where, there's, the torso. And if one of those little spires just happens to go down there, well, it just happened to happen. Yes, it did. Albert, I understand that, but really. Yeah, center mass. That's what I wanted to say, center mass. Very good, thank you. They go for center mass, but still, man, can you imagine? Because I know that the tasers those guys carry are very high voltage. Yo! He's going to be walking around going, "Hi, how are you?" For a couple hours. Oh, yikes. Just the thought of it. Okay. Now, We were talking about the coronavirus. Here's the coronavirus one for you. Armed gang steals toilet rolls in panic buying Hong Kong. Okay. Okay. A gang of knife-wielding men jumped a delivery driver in Hong Kong and stole hundreds of toilet rolls, said police Monday, in a city racked by shortages caused by the coronavirus. Toilet rolls have become hot property in the densely packed business hub, despite government assurances that supplies remain unaffected by the virus outbreak. Supermarkets have found themselves unable to restock quickly enough, leading to sometimes lengthy queues and shelves wiped clean within moments of opening. There has also been a run on staples such as rice and pasta, as well as hand sanitizer and other cleaning items. Police said a truck driver was held up Monday by 3 men outside a supermarket in Mong Kok, a working class district with a history of triad organized crime gangs. A delivery man was threatened by 3 knife-wielding men who took toilet paper worth more than $130, a police spokesperson told the AFP. A police source told AFP the missing rolls were later recovered and 2 suspects were arrested on scene, although it was not clear if they were directly involved in the armed robbery. Footage from Now TV showed police investigators standing around multiple crates of toilet roll outside a Welcome supermarket. One of the crates was only half stacked. Okay, people. Now, this is the reason I say don't panic. We don't need to hoard. You don't need to do things like this. You really don't. It's just obviously I guess I better explain. Over in Asia, in the Asian states like China, Hong Kong, the Koreas, Cambodia, places like that, we don't know the true numbers. As much as we'd like to think China's reporting everything true, but we don't know. And so it is spreading quicker, and they weren't able to close the borders because China wasn't honest with them. So therefore, things kind of got off kind of quickly there. So they have a little bit more to worry about, but it's still, even their government says this was unnecessary. There's more than enough of things. But for some reason, people feel the need to do this. I can't imagine. Give me your toilet paper. Oh, man. I just can't imagine it. I really can't. At that point, the guy's just going, dude, fine, don't lose your crap over this. Sorry, had to say it. Oh, and we do have another Florida story for you, everybody. Yay! Florida police investigate after several tongues preserved in jars found in crawl spaces. Ooh. Clarice, do we have a Hannibal Lecter? Police in Gainesville, Florida are investigating after a contractor doing work on a home Monday discovered half a dozen jars containing human tongues inside a crawl space beneath the residence. Police were dispatched to the home after receiving a 911 call that human remains dating back to the 1960s had been found in a crawl space at a home belonging to the ex-wife of Dr. Ronald A. Bogman, according to the Tampa Bay Times. Once on the scene, investigators found half a dozen plastic, gallon-sized jars containing human tongues. The chief investigator said the labels on the tongues dated back to the late 1960s. Bogman, a world-renowned pathologist and former University of Florida professor, told WCJB that he had obtained the specimens as part of his research and brought them home with the intention of using them for additional work. He stored them in the crawl space because it was a cool area. Campos said that the tongues used for research on thyroid and neck conditions were meant to be brought back to the university. Bogman's ex-wife now owns the home and forgot the jars were beneath the house. I don't know what the policies and laws would have to have been like 50 years ago or whenever it was, but I can tell you today that it's not something that would be permitted. Camo boss, souvenirs of the 68 Democratic Convention. Now. Play nicely. There are very few strict federal and state laws, as well as university policies that prohibit that. It would be neither appropriate or legal for a faculty member or researcher to bring something like that home. Uh-oh. And we thought we had a Hannibal Lecter story. I didn't, but I had to play it. You know, people working at universities think that they a lot of times are above law, and this just proves they're not. He was actually charged. So, things, I can't imagine. Some people donate their naughty owl, ha ha ha. Some people donate their bodies to science. Now you know what ends up to them, where their parts end up, underneath a house in Florida. Who knew? Oh, talking about weirdness. A class ring lost in Maine 47 years ago is found buried in a forest in Finland. A high school class ring lost in Maine in 1973 has been found buried beneath a forest floor in Finland and returned to its owner, who says the unlikely find might be more than just a coincidence. Deborah McKenna, 63, lost the Morse High School ring in Portland department store shortly after her then boyfriend and future husband, Sean, gave it to her when he left for college. The couple was married 40 years ago until Sean died in 2017 after a 6-year battle with cancer. The ring, however, was largely forgotten until a sheet metal worker found it under 8 inches of soil in Finnish forest land last month after 47 years. The story of how the ring journeyed nearly 4,000 miles from Maine to Finland remains a mystery. Marco Salmon was using his metal detector in a park in Karina, a small town in southwest Finland, when he dug up a blue-stoned silver ring, according to Finnish news. He said he usually only finds bottle caps or other junk, and was surprised the ring had come from the U.S. The markings on the ring, including the initials SM, helped Sarman track down the owner. McKenna said she cried when the ring arrived in the mail at her New Brunswick home last week. It's very touching in this world of negativity to have decent people step forward and make an effort. There are good people in the world, and we need more of them. McKenna believes the sudden discovery of the ring may be a message from her late husband. Sean used to say, "There's no such thing as coincidence," she said. "He's telling me to get my act together, to get going with the rest of my life." Well, good for her. I'm glad that she took it in a positive and not in a negative. That is good. And I just realized I'm going to do one more story, but just because it's we had something smelly go on, we're going to do another smelly story. I actually find this interesting. Awful smelling plant along this U.S. roadway has one saving grace. It melts snow. Mild winter temperatures along a stretch of North Carolina's Blue Ridge Parkway in Gatauga County have resulted in the growth of a fetid smelling pot that, despite its odor, has the uncanny ability to create enough heat to melt snow around it. While experts say the plant, known as skunk cabbage, is fatal if eaten, in a Facebook post Saturday, says the prodigious bloom has a face only a mother could love. Skunk cabbage is a warm-blooded plant that can raise the surrounding temperature by as much as 20 degrees, according to the Pennsylvania State University report. By doing this, it will use it will use as much oxygen as comparably sized mammal. Descriptions of the plant say it looks something out of a science fiction movie, with a fierce defense mechanism, according to the gardening know-how. Skunk cabbage gets its name from the fact that when the leaves are crushed or brushed, it gives off a smell of a skunk or rotting meat. In small doses or small bites, the skunk cabbage plant can cause burning and swelling of the mouth and a choking sensation. Eating larger portions of these leaves, in extreme cases, can be fatal. But it actually helps melt snow. I thought that was actually pretty cool. That there is an actual plant out there that can melt snow. So that's your wisdom bite of the show. All right, everybody, we are getting to the end of the show. It's almost to the top of the hour. And we're going to go ahead and do house cleaning. Right now, we have no guest schedules as of my last check. But we do have shows. Monday, we have the Monday Night Edition with Ice and Flash. Tuesdays is Pop Culture Warrior with CQ and Radar. Wednesday is our Donza or Meditation Day. Thursdays is Sergeant Time with Ice and Spanky. And then you have Sundays. We're kicking it with Koz, which is Koz and Owl, which is me. All right, everybody. We are at that time. It's time to get your week going. I thank you for showing up. And I'm going to say this. Remember, you always make the choice of who and what you are. Every year about this time, I think about who and what I am and how my year has been. And I try to plot forward for my next year. Every year can be better. Every year can be what we make it. And better is what's up here, not what everybody else says. Make your choice of what you feel is what you want. not what everybody else wants, but what you want. Because that is the only person you have to report to at the end of the day, is you. Because you have to look in that mirror. All right, everybody. I'm going to say, as I always say, as we come to the end, remember to keep it real. Keep it simple. And remember to smile. Because you just don't know who you're going to help, and that includes yourself. All right, everybody. We will be back next week with some more fun stories, some silliness, and maybe some less politics. Love y'all. Have a good week. And smile.